Admiral Brecht watched the holographic display in front of him, showing 12 Callison cruisers positioned around Harvest Station like predators circling prey. The agricultural colony hung below, a small blue-green world covered in farming domes and settlement clusters. 3 million humans lived down there, growing food and raising families. They refused to leave, refused to acknowledge Callison authority over their system. "All ships report ready status," Commander Ylva said from her station. She was young for her rank, ambitious, and eager to prove herself. "The blockade is secure. Nothing gets in or out without our permission." Brecht nodded slowly. 30 years he had served the Empire, 30 years of successful campaigns, conquered systems, and defeated enemies. The Callison Empire had expanded across 73 systems in just 2 years. Their military doctrine was simple: overwhelming force, superior numbers, inevitable victory. It had never failed. "Admiral, the High Council is pleased with our progress," Ylva continued. "They expect the colonists to surrender within a week. Starvation will force their hand." The Admiral studied the tactical display. His ships formed a perfect net. Sensors covered every approach vector. Nothing could slip through undetected. The Callison sensor grid was the finest in known space, capable of detecting a single fighter at 10,000 kilometers. Yet something bothered him, a feeling he could not quite identify. "What do we know about human military capabilities?" Brecht asked. Ylva pulled up a data file. "Very little, sir. They entered galactic politics only 5 years ago. Most intelligence suggests they lack organized military structure. Their ships are rare, their technology unremarkable. We estimate they pose minimal threat to Imperial forces." "Estimates," Brecht muttered. "I dislike fighting enemies we do not understand." "With respect, Admiral, understanding is unnecessary when we possess superior firepower. The humans will learn to respect Imperial authority, just like every other species we have encountered." A junior sensor technician raised his hand tentatively. "Sir, I am detecting a brief anomaly on the outer perimeter. Sector 7, approximately 8,000 kilometers from our position." "Identify it," Brecht ordered. The technician's fingers danced across his console. "Already gone, sir. Probably just background radiation or stealth. Interference. Sensors show clear space now." Ylva dismissed the report with a wave. "False readings are common near agricultural worlds. All that biological activity creates sensor noise." Brecht was not so certain. He had survived 3 decades by trusting his instincts. Something felt wrong about this situation. The humans had established this colony 50 years ago, had built an entire civilization here. They would not abandon it easily. Yet where was their fleet? Where were their defenders? "Titan formation," he commanded. "Bring all ships to combat readiness. Full sensor sweep every frequency." "Sir," Ylva looked confused. "There is no threat present. We control this entire system." "Humor an old Admiral, Commander. Full combat protocols." The crew moved to comply, albeit with obvious confusion. Weapon systems powered up across the fleet. Shields strengthened. Sensor arrays went to maximum sensitivity. The 12 cruisers drew closer together, forming a defensive sphere around the flagship. Minutes passed in tense silence. Brecht studied every sensor reading, every data point, searching for whatever had triggered his unease. The display showed empty space. Nothing moved except his own ships. The stars burned cold and distant. "Sir, all systems report optimal function," Ylva said. "Sensors detect no anomalies, no threats, no unknown vessels. Perhaps we should stand down from combat readiness. The crew is becoming concerned." Brecht opened his mouth to respond, but the words never came. Every alarm on the bridge began screaming simultaneously. Red emergency lights flooded the command center. The holographic display went haywire, showing impossible readings. "Contact," the sensor technician shouted. "Massive contact right on top of us, distance 300 meters from the flagship." "That's impossible," Ylva lunged for her console. "Sensors showed nothing, how did?" Then Brecht saw it through the main viewport. Space itself seemed to tear open like fabric being ripped apart. The void twisted, bent, and something emerged from nothing. A ship materialized where empty space had existed seconds before. It was enormous, easily twice the size of his flagship, perhaps larger. The hull was black, not painted black, but naturally dark, absorbing light like a hole in space. No lights blinked along its surface. No engine glow illuminated its stern. It simply existed, silent and menacing. "All weapons target that ship," Breck's voice cut through the chaos. "Fire control, get me a solution now." His crew scrambled to respond. 12 cruisers swung their weapons toward the intruder, targeting computers locked on. Fire control calculated trajectories and impact probabilities. The numbers came back impossibly favorable. 98% chance of destruction with a full fleet salvo. "Sir, sensors cannot identify the vessel," the technician reported, his voice shaking. "Hull composition unknown. Energy signature does not match any database entry. It is just sitting there, not moving, not powering weapons." "Hail them," Brecht ordered. "Demand their identification and surrender." Before anyone could comply, every communication channel activated simultaneously. A calm female voice filled the bridge, speaking flawless Callison with a slight accent Brecht could not place. "Imperial vessels, this is Captain Rodriguez of the human space service vessel Relentless. You have 60 seconds to begin withdrawing your blockade from Harvest Station. This is your only warning." Yilva laughed, a sharp, nervous sound. "They think one ship can threaten our entire fleet. Admiral, we should destroy them immediately." But Brecht stared at the massive warship floating impossibly close to his flagship. It had appeared from nothing. Their best sensors had detected nothing. And now it sat there, weapons closed, seemingly unconcerned with 12 cruisers aiming enough firepower to vaporize a small moon. "Stand by," Brecht said quietly. "Sir," Yilva looked at him in disbelief. "I said stand by, Commander." 55 seconds remained on the countdown. The void itself had opened and released something that should not exist. Admiral Brecht had a terrible feeling that everything he knew about warfare was about to change. 40 seconds, 35. The countdown continued inside Brecht's head like a death knell. The human ship called Relentless sat motionless in space, a dark threat against the stars. Its weapon ports remained closed. No targeting lasers painted as ships, yet every instinct Brecht possessed screamed danger. "Admiral, we must fire now." Yilva moved toward the weapons console. "Before they can bring their systems online." "Belay that order," Brecht's voice cracked like a whip. "No one fires without my direct command." "But, sir—" "Look at it, Commander." Brecht pointed at the massive vessel. It appeared 300 meters from our flagship. Our sensors never detected it. Do you understand what that means? Yilva's face went pale. She did understand. The Callison Empire's entire military strategy relied on superior sensors and early detection. If humans could bypass those sensors completely, they could appear anywhere, anytime, without warning. 20 seconds. "Open a channel to the human ship," Brecht ordered. "Let me speak to this Captain Rodriguez." The communication officer worked quickly. "Channel open, sir." "Captain Rodriguez, this is Admiral Brecht of the Callison Imperial Fleet. You are outnumbered 12-1. Your vessel, while impressive, cannot withstand a concentrated barrage from our ships. I suggest you withdraw before forcing us to destroy you." A pause, then Rodriguez's voice returned, still calm, still maddeningly composed. "Admiral, I appreciate your concern for my ship's welfare, but I think there has been a fundamental misunderstanding about our respective positions. You have 10 seconds remaining." "This is madness," Yilva shouted. "One ship against our entire fleet. Admiral, I beg you, let us end this threat." Brecht watched the tactical display. His ship surrounded the human vessel. Every weapon was locked and ready. One command and the Relentless would be torn apart by a storm of fire. So why did his hands shake? Why did fear crawl up his spine like ice? 5 seconds. "Captain Rodriguez, I am ordering you to stand down and surrender your vessel. This is your final warning." "No, Admiral, it was yours." Zero. Nothing happened. The Relentless did not fire. No missiles launched. No energy beams lanced through space. For a heartbeat, Brecht thought the human had been bluffing, making empty threats. Then every system on his flagship went dark. Emergency lights flickered on, casting red shadows across the bridge. Consoles died. Holographic displays vanished. The gentle hum of the ship's reactor faded to silence. Brecht gripped his command chair as artificial gravity wavered before backup systems caught it. "Report," he shouted into the darkness. "All systems offline," someone called back. "Primary power dead, secondary power failing, life support running on emergency batteries only." "What about weapons, shields, engines?" "Everything is gone, sir. We are dead in space." Through the viewport, Brecht saw his other 11 cruisers drifting, all their lights extinguished. One by one, like stars going out, his entire fleet had been crippled. 12 warships rendered completely helpless in the span of a single second. Rodriguez's voice came through emergency channels, the only system still functioning. "I did warn you, Admiral. What you just experienced was a directed electromagnetic pulse weapon. Very precise, very controlled. It disabled every electronic system on your ships without destroying anything. Life support is intact, hull integrity is fine, and your crews are all perfectly safe." "You could have killed us all," Brecht whispered. "Yes, but I did not. Do you understand the difference, Admiral? You were at my mercy and I chose mercy, remember that." Ylva pulled herself up from where she had fallen. Her face was a mask of rage and fear. "Treachery, cowardice, a real warrior would face us in honest combat." "Commander, be silent," Brecht ordered. His voice was tired, defeated. "She is right. We were defeated before the first shot was fired." The human captain continued speaking. "My initial offer stands. Withdraw your blockade from Harvest Station. I will send engineering teams to help restore your systems. You can return to Callison space with your ships and crews intact. No casualties, no bloodshed, no war." "And if we refuse," Brecht asked, "then you will drift here until your backup power runs out. That will take approximately 6 hours. After that, life support fails and everyone aboard your ships dies. I would rather not let that happen, Admiral. Despite our differences, I have no desire to kill anyone today." Brecht looked around his darkened bridge. His crew stared at him with wide eyes, waiting for orders. But what orders could he give? They were powerless, helpless, completely at the mercy of an enemy who apparently did not want to be an enemy at all. "Why?" he asked. "Why show us mercy? Why not destroy us and claim an easy victory?" Rodriguez's answer came slowly, as if she was choosing her words carefully. "Because, Admiral, peace is more valuable than victory. Your empire sees Harvest Station as territory to be conquered. We see it as home. 3 million people live down there, including my younger sister and her 2 children. They grow food, teach school, build houses, and live ordinary lives. They are not warriors or rebels. They just want to exist in peace." "Your sister," Brecht felt something shift in his chest. This was not an abstract military commander. This was a woman protecting her family, just as he had once protected his own son from danger. "Small shuttles are approaching your vessels now," Rodriguez said. "Human engineering teams with portable generators and repair equipment. They will work with your crews to restore basic systems. I suggest you cooperate, Admiral. The sooner your ships are functional, the sooner you can leave." Through the viewport, Brecht saw tiny lights moving toward his fleet. The shuttles were unarmed, small enough to be vulnerable to even basic defensive systems. Rodriguez was trusting him not to attack once systems were restored. She was showing faith in an enemy she had just defeated. "Very well," Brecht said quietly. "Tell your engineers they may board. We will not resist." "Thank you, Admiral. I think you just saved a lot of lives today." The communication cut off, leaving Brecht alone in the red-lit darkness with his thoughts and the weight of a decision that would change everything. The human engineer who boarded Brecht's flagship introduced himself as David. He was young, perhaps 25 cycles by human standards, with short brown hair and friendly eyes. He wore a simple pressure suit marked with repair tools and carried a portable generator over one shoulder like it weighed nothing. "Afternoon, Admiral," David said with a casual wave. "Mind if we get your power back online? I imagine emergency lighting gets old pretty fast." Ylva bristled at the informal greeting. "You will address the Admiral with proper respect, human." David blinked, then offered an apologetic shrug. "Sorry, no disrespect intended. We are just not big on formality where I come from. Should I call you something specific?" "Commander Ylva is sufficient," Brecht said before his second officer could escalate. "Please begin your work. My crew will assist however necessary." "Great." David moved to the primary power junction with practiced ease. "This should not take long. Your systems are not damaged, just shut down. We need to reset the core reactors and flush the electromagnetic interference from the circuits. Basically just turning everything off and on again, but with more steps." Two other human engineers entered the bridge, both carrying similar equipment. They spread out, working with calm efficiency. Brecht watched them carefully. They showed no fear, no hostility, no sense of superiority despite having defeated his fleet without firing a shot. They simply worked, occasionally making small talk with his crew about technical specifications and power flow ratios. "You are very skilled," Brecht observed as David connected cables to the main reactor feed. "Thanks, I have been doing this since I was 16. My dad taught me engineering before I could walk, practically." David smiled at the memory. "He always said understanding how things work is the key to fixing what is broken." "And what is broken here, in your opinion?" David glanced up from his work. "Between our people, you mean? I think it is just a misunderstanding, honestly. Your empire sees expansion as strength. We see expansion as aggressive. Neither side is wrong exactly, but neither side is completely right either." A diplomatic answer for an engineer. "I grew up on Harvest Station," David said simply. "That makes this kind of personal for me." Brecht felt that familiar shift in his chest again. Captain Rodriguez mentioned she has family on the station as well, her sister and two children. "Yeah, I know them." David's face lit up. "Her sister Amy teaches at the primary school. Her kids are in the agriculture program learning to grow enhanced wheat strains. Really smart kids. Amy is terrified they might get caught up in this conflict." "So Rodriguez sent you to help restore our ships while her family remains vulnerable below," Brecht said slowly. "That requires remarkable trust." David secured another connection and the reactor hummed to life. "She trusts you to make the right choice, Admiral. That is why she disabled your ships instead of destroying them. She believes you are honorable. Many would call what she did an act of war. And many would call your blockade the same thing." David moved to the next console. "But here we are talking instead of shooting. I would call that progress." Systems began coming back online across the bridge. Lights brightened. Holographic displays flickered into existence. The gentle thrum of a functioning starship returned. Brecht's crew looked relieved, some even nodding thanks to the human engineers working alongside them. "How long have you lived on Harvest Station?" Brecht asked. "My whole life, 26 years. David pulled a small device from his pocket, a picture display. He showed it to Brecht. The image showed a young family standing in front of a farming dome. A man and woman held a small child between them, all three smiling at the camera. "This is my family, my parents and my little sister. She is 10 now, wants to be a pilot someday." Brecht stared at the picture. A simple family, simple dreams, no different from his own son's family back on the Callison homeworld. He thought of his grandson, 8 cycles old, who wanted to study stars instead of warfare. Would the Empire allow such a peaceful dream? "Your people are not what I expected," Brecht admitted. "What did you expect?" "Warriors, fanatics, something to justify conquest." Brecht handed the picture back. "Instead, I find engineers who show kindness to defeated enemies." David pocketed the device. "My dad used to say that anyone can destroy. Building takes actual skill. Same with relationships, I guess. Easy to make enemies, hard to make friends." Your father sounds wise. He was. David's voice grew quiet. Pirates raided our sector 4 years ago. He died protecting the reactor station so everyone else could evacuate. That is when I joined the service. Figured I should protect what he built. I am sorry for your loss. Thanks, it is why I believe Captain Rodriguez's way works better. Dad taught me that tools can build or destroy depending on who holds them. Same with power. We have advanced technology, sure, but using it to kill would just make us the same as those pirates. The main view screen activated, showing the Relentless still holding position nearby. Other Callison ships were also coming back online as human engineering teams worked throughout the fleet. No weapons were charged. No threatening moves were made, just efficient repairs and quiet cooperation. Admiral, Yilva approached carefully. All ships report systems restoration in progress. We will have full mobility within the hour. Communications are already functional. The High Council is demanding a status report. Brecht took a deep breath. The High Council would want blood. They would demand he attack these humans, destroy their ship, crush their station. The Empire did not accept defeat. The Empire did not show mercy. The Empire conquered or was conquered. But the Empire had never faced an enemy who won by choosing not to fight. Open a channel to the Relentless, Brecht said. I wish to speak with Captain Rodriguez personally. Sir, Yilva looked confused. Do it, Commander, and prepare a shuttle. I am going to visit Harvest. Station. David looked up from his work, surprise clear on his face. Then he smiled, a genuine expression of hope. I think my dad would have liked you, Admiral. Brecht found himself smiling back despite everything. Perhaps some things could be fixed after all. The shuttle ride down to Harvest Station felt longer than any battle Brecht had ever fought. He sat alone in the passenger compartment while a human pilot guided them through the atmosphere. Below, the agricultural world grew larger, its surface a patchwork of green farming domes and blue water reservoirs. His communicator had been buzzing constantly with messages from the High Council. They demanded explanations. They ordered him to attack immediately. They threatened court-martial and execution. Grand Marshal Vorik personally sent 3 messages, each more furious than the last. Brecht had read them all, then silenced the device. Some decisions were too important to be made by committee. We will be landing in about 5 minutes, Admiral, the pilot called back. Her name was Lieutenant Park, a woman in her 30s with steady hands and a calm voice. Captain Rodriguez will meet you at the main platform. Fair warning, it might be a bit overwhelming. Word got out that you are coming and folks are curious. Overwhelming how? Brecht asked. Park smiled. You will see. The shuttle descended through clouds and broke into clear sky. Brecht pressed his face against the window, staring at what lay below. He had seen conquered worlds before. Burned cities, desperate refugees, populations crushed into submission. He expected something similar here, people cowering in fear of the Callison blockade. What he saw instead were farms, thousands of them stretching across continents in organized rows. Farming domes glittered in the sunlight like jewels. Between them, small towns and settlements spread in natural patterns. Roads connected communities. Children played in parks. It looked peaceful, prosperous, alive. The shuttle touched down on a landing platform near the central settlement. Park lowered the ramp and gestured for Brecht to exit. He stood, straightened his uniform, and stepped out into actual sunlight for the first time in months. The warmth felt good on his face. Admiral Brecht, Captain Rodriguez walked toward him with an extended hand, the human gesture of greeting. She was shorter than he expected, maybe 1.6 meters tall. With dark hair pulled back in a practical style. Her uniform was simple, marked with rank insignia but nothing ostentatious. She looked tired but determined. Brecht took her hand, returning the gesture. Captain Rodriguez, thank you for allowing this visit. Of course, I figured seeing was believing. She turned and gestured toward the settlement. Welcome to Harvest Station, Admiral, home to 3 million people who just want to grow food and live in peace. They walked together down a path lined with flowering plants. Brecht noticed people watching from windows and doorways. Some looked afraid, others looked curious. A few children waved, and Rodriguez waved back. "Your people do not seem very concerned about the Callison fleet overhead," Brecht observed. "They trust me to handle it," Rodriguez said simply. "That is what military service means here. We protect, not conquer. Big difference." They passed through the main settlement area. Brecht saw schools, medical centers, market squares. Everything was clean, organized, functional. People went about their daily activities. A group of teenagers laughed while working in a community garden. An elderly couple sat on a bench, sharing food and conversation. "How long did it take to build all this?" Brecht asked. 50 years of hard work, 3 generations of families putting down roots." Rodriguez stopped at a small memorial wall. Names were carved into stone, hundreds of them. "These are the people who died building this colony. Pirates, disease, equipment failures, natural disasters. Every name represents someone who believed this place was worth dying for." Brecht read the names slowly. David's father was there. Rodriguez's own parents were there. So many lives invested in creating something from nothing. "My grandfather helped establish the first farming dome," Rodriguez continued. "He always said that humanity's greatest strength was not our technology or weapons. It was our ability to build futures for people we would never meet. Every crop planted, every house built, every child taught was an investment in generations to come." "A noble philosophy," Brecht said, "but philosophy does not stop invasions." "No, but it gives us reason to fight when necessary." Rodriguez looked directly at him. "Admiral, I could have destroyed your fleet, every ship, every crew member. The Relentless and 4 other human warships are more than capable, but what would that accomplish? Dead Callisons would be replaced by living ones demanding revenge. The cycle would continue until one side was extinct. The Empire sees things differently. I know, 73 conquered systems in 2 years, impressive by any standard." She gestured around the settlement. "But tell me, Admiral, what did your empire build in those systems? What did you create that lasts?" Brecht had no answer. The empire conquered, extracted resources, moved on. Subject populations were controlled, not integrated. Nothing was built except military infrastructure. Nothing was created except fear. They walked to an overlook that showed the full scope of the settlement. Thousands of buildings spread across the valley floor. Farming domes dotted the hills. A river ran through the center, sparkling in afternoon light. It was beautiful, peaceful, thriving. "My sister Amy lives down there." Rodriguez pointed to a cluster of houses near the school. "Her kids are probably finishing classes right now. My nephew wants to be a botanist. My niece wants to study stellar mechanics. Normal dreams, Admiral, nothing threatening. Nothing that justifies blockading our world and starving us into submission. The High Council believes." "The High Council is wrong." Rodriguez's voice was gentle but firm. "Not about everything, maybe, but about this. You can conquer us, Admiral Brecht. You can destroy these farms, level these towns, kill these people, but you cannot make us accept that as right." Brecht stared at the settlement for a long moment. He thought about his 30-year career. All the victories, all the conquered worlds. Had he built anything lasting? Had any of it mattered beyond advancing imperial borders? "What do you propose instead?" he asked quietly. "Peace, real peace, not just absence of war." Rodriguez pulled out a data chip. "This contains partial specifications for our stealth technology, not complete but enough for your scientists to begin research. In exchange, you withdraw your fleet and we establish formal diplomatic relations. Both sides walk away intact. You would share military technology with an enemy. I would share knowledge with a potential friend." She handed him the chip. "Trust has to start somewhere, Admiral. Consider this a down payment." Brecht held the tiny chip, feeling its weight despite its size. This changed everything. The Empire had never been offered technology by a defeated enemy, because they had never shown mercy to defeated enemies. "The High Council will call me a traitor," he said. "Maybe, or maybe you will start something new." Rodriguez smiled sadly. Somebody has to be first. Below them, school bells rang and children poured out into playgrounds, their laughter carrying on the wind. Brecht returned to his flagship 4 hours later with the data chip burning like fire in his pocket. The bridge crew watched him with uncertain eyes. They had seen the Relentless's power. They had felt their own helplessness. Now they waited to see what their admiral would do next. "Commander Ylva, status report," Brecht ordered. "All systems fully operational, sir. The human engineering teams have departed. Weapons are online, shields at maximum, engines ready." Ylva hesitated. "The High Council has sent 17 messages demanding immediate action. Grand Marshal Vorik threatens to relieve you of command if you do not engage the human forces at once." Brecht walked to his command chair and sat slowly. 30 years of service, 30 years of unquestioned obedience, 30 years of doing exactly what the Empire commanded. It all came down to this single moment. "Open fleet-wide communications," he said. "All ships, all channels." The communication officer worked quickly. "Channels open, sir. Every vessel in the fleet is receiving." Brecht took a deep breath. "This is Admiral Brecht to all Calasan forces. Stand down from combat readiness. Power down weapons. Prepare for immediate withdrawal from this system." Silence crashed across the bridge like a physical force. Every crew member stared at him in shock. Ylva's face went through several different expressions before settling on outrage. "Admiral, you cannot be serious," she protested. "This is surrender, this is cowardice." "No, Commander, this is strategy." Brecht activated the holographic display, showing the Relentless and the 4 other human warships that had joined it. "Look at these vessels, really look. We cannot defeat them. Not with 12 ships, not with 20, not with the entire Imperial fleet. They possess technology we cannot counter." "Then we die fighting," Ylva insisted. "Better death than dishonor." "Better wisdom than pride," Brecht countered. He stood and addressed his crew directly. "I have served the Empire for 3 decades. I have conquered systems, defeated enemies, expanded our borders. But today I learned something important. Winning battles means nothing if you lose your soul in the process." He pulled out the data chip Rodriguez had given him. "Captain Rodriguez offered me a choice. We can fight and die, destroying everything we claim to protect, or we can accept that some conflicts have no winners, only survivors. She gave me partial stealth technology specifications in exchange for peace. Not surrender, not submission. Peace." Murmurs spread through the bridge. Several officers looked intrigued despite themselves. Ylva appeared torn between duty and curiosity. "This is a trick," she said, but her voice lacked conviction. "Why would they share military technology?" "Because they believe trust must start somewhere." Brecht looked at each crew member individually. "I went down to Harvest Station. I walked through their settlements. I saw children playing, families living, people working together to build something lasting. They are not warriors pretending to be civilians. They are civilians who learn to fight when necessary." He activated the High Council's latest message. Grand Marshal Vorik's angry face appeared, demanding obedience and threatening consequences. Brecht let the message play in full, then spoke over it. "The High Council orders us to attack. They say mercy is weakness. They demand we show no compassion, no understanding, no humanity." He paused. "But I remember why I joined this military. I joined to protect the Empire, not to feed its endless hunger for conquest." "Admiral," a young navigation officer spoke up hesitantly. "My brother serves on the frontier. He sent me a message last week. He said he is tired of occupying worlds that hate us. He said it feels wrong." Others began speaking, quietly at first, then with more confidence. A weapons officer admitted she questioned the last 3 campaigns. An engineer confessed he joined to build, not destroy. Even hardened veterans expressed doubts about the Empire's direction. Ylva listened to her crew, her expression changing gradually. "If we do this," she said finally, "if we withdraw without orders, we will be branded traitors. The High Council will send other forces. They might even execute us." "Possibly," Brecht agreed. "Which is why I am giving each of you a choice. Any officer who wishes to remain and fight the humans may do so. I will transfer command to them and accept full responsibility for this decision. But those who agree with me, those who believe there is a better path, I ask you to stand with me now." He waited, the bridge fell silent, seconds stretched into eternity, then the navigation officer stood. "I stand with you, Admiral." The engineer stood next, then the weapons officer, then the sensor technician. One by one, the entire bridge crew rose to their feet. Even Yilva, after a long moment of internal struggle, stood and saluted. "We stand with you, sir," she said quietly. "Right or wrong, we stand together." Brecht felt something break loose in his chest, some burden he had carried for decades without realizing it. "Thank you, all of you. Now let us do something the Empire has never done before. Let us choose peace over pride." He activated the communication channel to the Relentless. "Captain Rodriguez, this is Admiral Brecht. My fleet is withdrawing from Harvest Station. We accept your terms and your offer of diplomatic relations." Rodriguez's voice came back immediately. "Thank you, Admiral. I believe you just prevented a war." "Perhaps, or perhaps I just started a different kind of revolution." Brecht smiled despite himself. "Tell your sister her children can keep dreaming of stars and plants. Tell David his father would be proud. And tell your people that not all Calisans are their enemies." "I will, Admiral. Safe journey home." The channel closed. Brecht gave the order and his fleet began moving, ships turning away from Harvest Station and setting course for Calisan space. Behind them, the 5 human warships maintained position, watching but not pursuing. "Sir," the sensor technician called out suddenly. "Multiple contacts dropping from faster-than-light travel. Distance 400,000 kilometers and closing. It is a Calisan fleet. 20 warships, heavy configuration. They are hailing us." Brecht's blood went cold. The reinforcements had arrived, and they were not here to talk. "Identify the commanding officer," he ordered. "Admiral Court, sir. He commands the 3rd Battle Group, known for aggressive tactics and strict Imperial loyalty." Yilva moved to Brecht's side. "Admiral, what do we do?" Before he could answer, Rodriguez's voice cut through on emergency channels. "Admiral Brecht, we are detecting the incoming fleet. Consider yourself under our protection. The Relentless will not abandon you now." Brecht looked at the tactical display, his damaged fleet, 20 fresh warships, 5 human vessels. Everything was about to change again. Admiral Court's face appeared on the main display, all sharp angles and cold eyes. He wore full ceremonial armor, medals covering his chest, the mark of a career built on ruthless efficiency. Behind him, 20 warships formed an attack formation, weapons already charging. "Admiral Brecht, you are hereby relieved of command by order of the High Council. You will surrender your vessel immediately and prepare to face trial for treason, cowardice, and failure to engage enemy forces." Court's voice was ice. "Compliance is mandatory. Resistance will result in your destruction." "Admiral Court," Brecht replied calmly, "I suggest you reconsider your position. The situation is more complex than the High Council understands." "There is nothing complex about betrayal," Court gestured sharply. "You allowed enemy forces to disable your fleet, accepted their aid, and now flee from battle. Your actions shame every officer in the Imperial military. Surrender now or be destroyed as the traitor you are." Yilva leaned close to Brecht. "Sir, we cannot fight both his fleet and the human ships. We are trapped." "Perhaps not," Brecht murmured. He activated a private channel to Rodriguez. "Captain, I would prefer to handle this without violence if possible. Can you trust me to try?" "Do what you need to do, Admiral, but know that we are ready if diplomacy fails." Brecht switched back to the open channel. "Admiral Court, before you take action, I recommend you perform a sensor sweep of this area. There are factors you should be aware of." "I need no sensor data to identify cowardice," Court sneered. But he gestured anyway, and his crew complied. Seconds passed, then Court's confident expression flickered. His eyes widened slightly as data reached his console. "What is this? 5 unknown vessels reading impossible power signatures. They are not in our database." Those are human warships, Admiral. They possess technology centuries beyond our own. One of them disabled my entire fleet in less than a second without firing a conventional weapon. All 20 of your ships combined could not defeat even one of them. Lies, Court shouted. Primitive species do not possess advanced technology. This is deception. Rodriguez's voice cut into the channel, uninvited but welcome. Admiral Court, this is Captain Rodriguez of the Human Space Service. Admiral Brecht speaks truth. I would be happy to provide a demonstration if you doubt his words. Perhaps we could disable one of your ships as a test. Any volunteers? Court's face went through several shades of red. You dare threaten Imperial forces, we will crush you like insects. Will you? Rodriguez sounded almost amused. Or will you end up drifting helpless like Admiral Brecht's fleet did? The choice is yours, but choose carefully. Unlike some species, humans prefer talking to killing. Captain Rodriguez, please, Brecht interjected. Let me handle this. He focused on Court again. Admiral, I am not a traitor, I am a realist. These humans defeated us completely, then helped repair our ships. They gave us technology in exchange for peace. They showed mercy when they could have shown destruction. This is not weakness. This is strategy we have never encountered. The Empire does not accept defeat, Court was shouting now. We fight until victory or death. And which will you choose? Brecht asked quietly. If you engage these human forces, your ships will be disabled just as mine were. Your crews will drift in space, helpless. The only difference is that you will have forced the conflict instead of avoiding it. Is that the legacy you want? A new voice broke into the communication, old and authoritative. The holographic display split to show an elderly Calasan female wearing the robes of the High Council. Her name was Sharon, and she had served as a counselor for 40 years. Admirals, this is Counselor Sharon. I have been monitoring this situation with great interest. Her tone was measured, thoughtful. Admiral Court, you will stand down immediately. Admiral Brecht, you will provide a complete report of human capabilities and intentions. This situation requires careful consideration, not rash action. Court looked like he had swallowed something bitter. Counselor, with respect, the High Council ordered me to. The High Council did not understand the full situation, Sharon interrupted. I have reviewed Admiral Brecht's sensor logs and his communication with the human captain. I have also received multiple reports from other fleet commanders expressing concerns about our expansion policies. This confrontation was inevitable. We are fortunate it occurred here, with an admiral wise enough to recognize reality. Wise, Court spat the word. He surrendered without fighting. He prevented a massacre without sacrificing honor, Sharon corrected. There is a significant difference. Captain Rodriguez, I formally request a meeting with human leadership to discuss diplomatic relations between our species. Rodriguez's response was immediate. We would welcome such discussions, Counselor. Perhaps this situation can lead to understanding instead of conflict. Indeed, Sharon's expression softened slightly. Admiral Brecht, you are reinstated to full command with my personal authority. Admiral Court, you will escort Admiral Brecht's fleet back to Calasan space. Any officer who objects to these orders will face immediate court-martial. Am I understood? Both admirals responded, though Court's acknowledgement sounded strangled. Sharon continued speaking, now addressing everyone. The Calasan Empire has expanded rapidly, perhaps too rapidly. We have conquered many worlds but built few friendships. Today we learn that some species possess power beyond our understanding. This is not weakness to acknowledge. This is wisdom. We will adapt, learn, and grow. The alternative is extinction. The communication ended. Court's fleet remained in position, weapons still charged but no longer targeting Brecht's ships. The human vessels maintained their protective formation, silent sentinels in the void. Well, Ylva said softly, that could have gone worse. Brecht almost laughed. Yes, it could have. Prepare the fleet for departure, Commander. We are going home. Sir, what about the technology data chip? Should we report it to the High Council? Already done. I transmitted the data during our conversation with Court. Let the scientists decide what to do with it. Brecht looked at the relentless one last time. Captain Rodriguez, thank you for your restraint today. I hope this is the beginning of something better between our people. So do I, Admiral, so do I. The Callison fleets began moving, 32 ships turning away from Harvest Station. Below, 3 million colonists continued their lives, growing food and raising children under a peaceful sky. David was probably finishing his shift, heading home to his family. Rodriguez's sister was likely cooking dinner, her children doing homework at the kitchen table. Ordinary lives, protected by extraordinary choices. Brecht settled into his command chair, feeling lighter than he had in years. His career might be over, he might face trial despite Sharon's support, but he had done something important today. He had chosen peace over pride, wisdom over war, and a future over the past. Maybe that was enough. Outside his viewport, stars burned cold and eternal. Somewhere out there, other species watched and wondered. The galaxy was changing. The Empire was changing. Humanity had shown a different path, one built on strength tempered by mercy. And Admiral Brecht had taken the first step down that path, into whatever future awaited.